Hello and welcome to another episode of the Full Force Weekly, brought to you by Generals Joe's Reborn.com with me, Christopher McLeod AKA Diagnostik80. For today's episode, I'm joined by the awesome Patrick Notpicard Stewart. In this regular video series, we round up all the week's news in the world of GI Joe. What is it, Pat?
It's the Full Force Weekly.
Hey. Okay, so first off, hello to everyone out there. Apologies, we are having that kind of annoying glitchy thing happening again. There's, like, literally, I've done everything I could to try and fix it, but you're probably going to get me glitching all over the place. I apologize, guys. You're probably going to get the entire episode glitching, unfortunately, from your end. But with that out of the way, and so you know there's going to be some technical issues, unfortunately. Pat, how are you, buddy?
Doing just fine. I hope that I'm not glitching. I think I'm not whenever we have these problems.
No, I think I'm the only one that glitches on this one, unfortunately. I don't know what it is, because you're told to kind of like plug directly into your kind of internet to get the best, you know, to avoid this issue. And that's what I've been doing since it started happening a lot recently. And I've done it today, and for some reason it's just like, nah, I'm not gonna work today. So typical and very, very annoying. And I apologize, Pat, if I'm stopping every 5 seconds and not actually moving properly. But yeah, we'll get through it. Anyway, morning to everybody on the show already. Loads of comments. Thank you so much for throwing those in. We'll try and get to as much of those as possible. And Mom's on the show. Hi, Mom. Couple of hearts.
Hello.
Both for Pat, probably. Anyway, let's get stuck in. Ed, Chris, have you tried turning it off and on again? Many times, Ed. Many bloody times. They say highly articulated. It says our technical difficulties are a sign of long COVID. Probably. Vagon says, I knew it. He is a robot. See? Error. Anyway. Let's get stuck into the news pack, because there's actually quite a bit to get through. Although a lot of it is kind of there's a bit of there's not, like, it's not completely confirmed, a lot of this information, so we're going to have to like speculate a little bit. But effectively, the first up, we have a bit of Funko news again. Earlier in the week, an image was shared by diss trackers via Soda Fanatic on Twitter of a Profit Director Destro Funko Pop in his classified design, along with a number of other items, as well as information that a GameStop exclusive GI Joe Funko mystery box was coming. Well, on Wednesday, GameStop dropped pre-orders for the box on their website with more information. The PDQ will contain 6 of the following items inside: a Profit Director Destro Funko Pop, a GI Joe logo decal, a poster, some dog tags, a Snake Eyes keyring and file card on a lanyard, and a GI Joe membership card. The box will set you back $29.99 and is in stock now. Link in the description. Yes. So the confusing aspect of this is that on the website it says, and I quote, "Note includes 1 item. Selection is random. Style and color may vary. Specific item is not guaranteed." Now, I think that's a mistake, because it doesn't make sense for what the other things are in this particular box. So, Pat, I mean, what do you think? Because this is the mystery for me is exactly what the actual situation is.
Well, you know, I'm going to go ahead and just completely speculate, and I wonder if there may be a chance that there are a couple of different pops that may be in this PDQ that we're seeing Pimp Daddy Destro, but maybe there's actually a different deco for him, or there's a different figure altogether, kind of like there was with that Transformers and GI Joe set, that you didn't know if you were getting a Transformer pop in there or a GI Joe one.
Yeah, that was with the lunchbox, wasn't it? There was like a Transformers and Joe stuff. And even then, though, I think they showed everything you could get. Do you know what I mean? Unless they're just throwing in random GI Joe pops.
Yeah,
like you say, yeah, ones that already exist. It's kind of a bit sucky, because you go on the website and you want to see, like, this is why copy is important, and why, like, the explanation of what you're actually buying is important. And I feel like sometimes it's a little, like, they make mistakes are made, obviously, but a lot of these things tend to, like, cause so much confusion that you end up not buying it because you're just, well, I don't know what I'm going to get. So that's why I think it's more of a deterrent than it is a, you know, ooh, I wonder what it could be. Let's pay $30 and let's just see what you get. Because the way it was written out there on the copy makes it almost sound like you get one item for $30. And I'm thinking, that can't be right. You can't get all of that. You must get all of that stuff in that particular box, because I don't know otherwise what it would be. And then I don't know what the bloody mystery is.
Right, exactly. Because all this stuff looks like it's just small stuff that's a little bit of a bonus. I mean, I guess maybe you could get something other than a Snake Eyes lanyard or something else, maybe slightly different in there. Maybe it's a different mini poster. But I would imagine that it's a different Funko Pop, and that once people start buying these, we will know more.
So the first image that popped up was from Disc Trackers, and shout out to them and Soda Fanatic on Twitter, who posted this image and were like, "This is coming on Wednesday," and it was like, "Oh, cool." So you know, it's going to be a box. These are the things it's going to come with. Then they dropped the actual pre-orders on GameStop, and you actually get a lot more items, which is kind of fun. So this is basically all of the items that you get within this box, bottom left. Now on the bottom left, it says 6 pieces, doesn't it, on that box?
Yeah.
And like, if I was like looking, not really paying much attention, I'd look at that and I'd go, that must be the PDQ box. You open that up and there's mini boxes inside, and $30 gets you the entire PDQ, and maybe lesser amounts get you the single boxes. That obviously isn't the case, because what we're seeing here is, you know, very different sized items, like a poster, a membership card, a lanyard, a pop, dog tags, a decal. It's not like you get like $30 would get you a membership card. Do you know what I mean?
That's exactly what I was laughing, imagining. Like, oh, I got myself a membership card, which is cool. A lot of this stuff is essentially mimicking that original 1983 fan club membership. Because it's the pop version of the same poster, and the membership card looks the same. And then there's dog tags. If this had a full-size GI Joe web belt in it, I'd probably be buying it.
Yeah, big time. Ed the Straight Edge has made a good point here. He said the second bullet point in the description contradicts the first. Says includes pop vinyl figure, theme lanyard, decal pop poster, and more. So yeah, I would have to go with this not really being a mystery box in any way, shape, or form, and it just being a box with those items in it. And if you pay $30, that's what you're going to get. So
maybe when you're in the store, it's a mystery. If you haven't read online what it includes.
They've made it a mystery by confusing the crap out of us. In any case, I would go out on a limb and say, yeah, you're going to get those items in there. Plus, I will add, Destro does come in a window box like every other pop in the known universe. So it's not like you're going to get him loose or anything. But yeah, I like all the little elements that come with it. It's very cute, very fun. And yeah, it's a neat little kind of, I don't know, it's just a neat little box. And again, you're getting loads of other fun things in there, much like Pat mentioned, mimicking that 83 fan club mail away thing, which is great. So yeah, that is Funko. Kind of interesting as well. They went with the classified design, but I suppose there's a lot of kind of interesting things you can kind of utilize on it with the cape and the burning money and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I like the classified design of Destro, of Pimp Daddy Destro, just because they had a lot of fun with that character, or that version of the character, I should say.
Yeah.
But I almost am nervous that may be the way that he's seen going forward on everything, which, I mean, I wouldn't want the sunglasses on every Pimp Daddy Destro going forward, but it's Funko and it's Pops, so they'll probably if they made the other Pimp Daddy Destro, I can't remember.
I don't think so,
but they probably would, you know, given the opportunity. Maybe that's the difference. Maybe there's a classified one and a regular Pimp Daddy.
Yeah,
that would be that actually would be pretty cool.
Yeah. By the way, a lot of people are mentioning, and I got this notice as well, that the Amazon Cobra Ninja 2-pack has changed dates quite significantly. It's been pushed, well, brought forward, I suppose you'd say. I can't remember what the date was. I think it was September the 21st. So that's going to be coming pretty soon, which is pretty awesome. A lot of people have been mentioning that. Pat, you're giggling. What's up?
Well, it was just Ed saying, Pat, profit director. Sheesh. Yeah, what did I say?
Yeah, keep it PC is what people are saying. Yeah, lots of people saying their Blue Ninjas are slated to arrive. Andrew's tomorrow. Lucky git. I'm kidding, Andrew, but that's awesome, man. Anyway, Highly Articulated says the pop is $10. The mystery costs you $20. You're paying for the mystery, aren't you? Highly Articulated. Yeah, Ed says I'm sure it's poorly edited copy, and that's exactly what I think as well. The box itself is neat looking. That's something we haven't really talked about, Pat, but there's some nice visuals going on that box, aren't there? Like you've got Breaker,
sure,
Snake Eyes, yeah. And I'm guessing on the top, it's the same. It's the front cover of Marvel issue 1, collector case kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, hopefully that box is kind of sturdy, because it actually looks like it would be a nice one to keep around.
Absolutely. Okay. Right then, let's move on to the next news item then. Like I said, we've got quite a few things to get through today. This is another bit of a confusing one, but since I've recorded the video for this, by the way, I've had a little bit of an update. So let's watch it anyway.
Last week, we reported on the brand new reveal of the Haya Toys Snake Eyes 4-inch figure, and this week we saw the first pre-order listing appear via HobbyLink Japan. It would appear as though HobbyLink will only be accepting orders from Asia, however, with a note explaining that any orders outside the territory will be cancelled. This further establishes that the license isn't for use outside Asia, and therefore it might be harder to acquire for anybody not in that area of the globe. We have reached out to Haya for confirmation and also asked if they have any plans with the distributor in the US, but we have not heard anything back just yet. When we get more information about this, we will let you know.
Well, I'll let you know now. Haya did get back to me. They responded to my kind of, my query about will it be available outside of Asia? Will you guys be looking at other distributors? And they pointed me into the direction of Diamond. So they have said, you can pay attention to Diamond's sales channels. Regards, Haya. So it looks as though it could be the case that Diamond will have these for US distribution and all the rest of the world distribution, I would say. I don't know, I'm not sure the rest of the world, but definitely like the United States. That's what they are mentioning to me. So that is all I can really say at this moment in time. They're not saying like there's no the way it's worded, it's not definitive, is it, Pat? But it's like it does kind of like suggest that, don't worry, in time you'll soon see.
Yeah, that sounds promising to me. I don't really think there's much chance anymore. I mean, whenever things are specific to one part of the world, that just kind of means that there are fewer options, not that there are no option. Because if this thing really is for some reason not allowed, or the major places like Big Bad Toy Store not getting it in, like if that were to happen, you'd still be able to go to eBay. Like there's going to be some way to get it.
There'll be ways to get this.
Affecting the price of it,
Yeah, there'll be definitely ways to get this, in the United States. But it looks as though we might have a nice official way of having that through Diamond. It all depends, I guess, on what comes out of that. Now, the fact that it's already up on pre-order for HobbyLink Japan means that we'll probably find out sooner rather than later whether it's going to be coming out to the US officially. But I don't know. I wasn't expecting any response from Haya. I certainly wasn't expecting a response, a few minutes after I'd recorded the video and then couldn't be bothered to record a new video with the new information. It gets to about 9 and I'm like, okay, that's enough. I'll just explain afterwards. So yeah, it's just nice that we got something back, and it's a positive move that, we could be seeing this. A lot of people were saying it's only Asia territory, and they were right. There was a lot of, information suggesting that it was only going to be sold in Asia territories, which is, what more information could you need in terms of confirmation? But I think it was one of those confusing things where you see everything, they're posting things in US dollars, they're writing everything in English, and then they're putting it out on their platforms on a global scale. So you kind of wonder, there's no way it could just be Asia only in terms of sales, but we'll definitely find out very, very soon. Sammy Delco's asked, does HLJ have a projected release date on this? They do, actually. If you go by the Hobby Link Japan pre-order, the expected release date is March of 2023. So not that far off, really, when you consider, how quick years go now. But yeah, like September, October, November, December, January, February, March. It's only 6 months away. So yeah, that's not too crazy for me to think. And it's probably going to be pushed back. It's very rarely they come out on the date that they propose. They could be pushed back. They could come out earlier. You never know. So, but that's the projected date on that, Sammy, at the moment. Anonymous Dude has said, Pat, you were fantastic on the monthly with your HasLab scenarios. You should write for the MCU.
Well, thank you.
Except Chuckles would all of a sudden be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which he could be from 1982 to whenever it was. Ed says, I don't imagine we'll get a huge character selection from Haya if they're limited to the Asian market. Well, that's probably we've only got one revealed so far, I think, Ed. I don't think there's going to be a ton of figures coming out of them. Do you, Pat? I mean, do you expect a lot of figures out of Haya?
No, I really expect this to be the same thing they've done with other things. Like probably one of the brands that I've noticed the most was Predator, because that was one of the I don't know, that was one of my friends had. And so I saw that figure. He was excited for it, showed it to me. And then I remember it was a while before another one came out, but then they started gaining momentum. And I think that they've averaged like 5 or 6 figures a year, even though they were slower toward the beginning, getting more of them out. So I think that's probably what Haya does, is they'll test the waters and not overdo it and see how quickly this one sells. And I kind of think maybe that's what they do as far as global distribution goes too. Like they probably are, appease one market for now with distribution, and then expand to the US market after that.
Absolutely. Mark says MCU Chuckles superpower is throwing missiles. There you go, Pat. It's already been written for you. You'll amazing. He'd be like working for Shield, wouldn't he? Anyway, actually, if he's undercover, he might even be a Skrull. But anyway, enough of that. That is so those that have just joined are looking at that screen and going, Asia only. We have had responses we have had a response from Haya Toys to say that to keep our eyes, well, they said, pay attention to Diamond sales channels. So Diamond might be the way they're going to be distributing this in the United States. So just as a heads up, that was the response I got, official response from Haya. Okay, then, next up then, and we've got a very exciting bit of video game news.
On Friday, Brandon Jerwer, famous for his writing credits on a number of GI Joe titles for Devil's Due Publishing back in the early 2000s, revealed that he had secured a new job as the senior narrative designer for Atomic Arcade, and that he would be writing the new Snake Eyes AAA video game. He posted the news on his personal Facebook account yesterday, so we wish him good luck in the new job and look forward to seeing how the game develops.
Yeah, this was a nice little kind of surprise. I had a message from so Diana Davis, shout out to Diana Davis on the show. She mentioned that, have you seen this news? And she showed me that Brandon had posted on his Facebook page, basically with the news. And I was like, no. So we kind of like asked him just to say, can we, announce this? Can we put it out there? And he was like, yeah, absolutely, go ahead. So congratulations to Brandon. He obviously revealed that he will be the senior narrative designer for Atomic Arcade, which is the company that they set up to specifically, by the way, do GI Joe computer games, which is pretty awesome, isn't it, Pat? The fact that there's a specific, company doing that.
Yeah, it's this whole thing seems to be building more and more to look like it's a larger effort than we've seen on definitely on any GI Joe video game, I would say.
Absolutely. I mean, Hasbro in the past have kind of, I guess, freelanced a lot of this out, haven't they? They've put this stuff out there, and they've used other kind of other kind of companies to do the games and so on and so forth. Iguana B, for example, who did Operation Blackout. Obviously, all the other old school games, which would have been done through Capcom, and what are the other ones? Atari,
Konami,
Konami,
Taxan.
That was it, Taxan. So yeah, like in those kind of scenarios, it was always a case of, and you expect that back in the day, especially back in the day when it was like, well, give it to the computer game company. Don't set up your own thing. But now they're going full on AAA. They're putting a lot of money behind this, and Brandon Jerwa as a senior narrative designer is a really positive move, isn't it? When you think about the history that Brandon has with the brand.
Yeah, anytime that I see them announce a different person for heading up a story, or the head of a script, or who it may be, one of the two approaches that's often taken is, do we have somebody who's familiar with the brand, which could end up making it feel a little less accessible to the average new fan, or do we have somebody who is completely unfamiliar with it, which may actually not make it utilize the best parts of the brand as well as possible? You see the companies go with either one of those two choices all the time. And the really cool thing about Brandon Jerwa, to me, is the fact that there's not a lot of times that something is written new that becomes the definitive version of GI Joe. Like, we're always referring back to Sunbow and the original Marvel run of the comic and the original action figure toy line. Those are the things that are like our go-to. But whenever you look at Jerwa's time on Devil's Due, the comic, he really redefined Chuckles. So here you have somebody who's completely familiar with the brand, but one of the few people who's actually been able to breathe brand new life into something and attract like new fans and make something that was really cool. So this is a huge positive for us.
Absolutely. And I agree with all those points, actually. The fact that, yeah, you've got someone here that like knows the brand. And I think that's a really good starting point, especially if you're doing something brand new and different. Like, at least have that kind of connective tissue to be like, what would this character like? How would this character operate in this particular universe and stuff like that? And it does actually make quite a difference a lot of the time, especially to the hardcore fans who really want that kind of familiarity still, even if something's different. It's a tough balance, like, to get something like so spot on that it's universally kind of like accepted.
Yeah.
So hopefully,
and accessible to new people too.
Absolutely. It's a really hard balance to kind of capture. It doesn't happen often, and it has happened. I mean, excuse me, it's happened with the classified line. That you can't really have many arguments about that.
Yeah,
they've managed to find the balance in the classified line as well over the period that it's been running. And again, it's taken on probably more people than you would have expected, which is really really cool. So like, yeah, sometimes it works, and I think I'm hoping big time that he can get something to really pop in terms of the storyline in this particular game. I'm just excited to have a game that's like super like high level, that's something like above what we've had ever really with GI Joe. It's not I love the kind of arcade based stuff, the kind of fun. For example, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles just brought out that Shredder's Revenge game, which is it's beautiful, and it's fun, and it's like, it's all that kind of stuff. Joe's had that arcade kind of level of fun, but now I'd like to see it really go into that next level, and I think it can do with this with this new kind of focus and lots of money as well, which seems to be the case. Just throw money at it, and it will happen. Jerry Breeze, this is a slightly different comment here, but this is something we can talk about briefly here, Pat. When do you think we might see the next classified HasLab? I want the Thunder Machine. I wonder, Jerry, what makes you want the Thunder Machine as a HasLab? I'm not insinuating the monthly had anything to do with it, but maybe possibly the most recent Ghost Rider HasLab, Pat. How cool does that car look?
Yeah, it looks really good. It's nice.
I think there's going to be a bit of crossover there, you know, with Marvel and GI Joe. I think there might be people that want that because they want like a car for Zartan or Zorana. Zorana, I didn't know it was you. Yeah, I think that might happen. Do you think? I mean, could you see that happening?
Yeah, I could see that happening. Whenever it first launched, I think that it kind of hit some pretty high numbers. I thought it did right away, so I think that that one's going to fund. It seems like the Marvel ones do pretty well. So
Yeah, Marvel always knock it out of the park. Anyway, Jerry, yeah, a Thunder Machine. In terms of the next HasLab for classified, probably a little ways off that, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, do you think that they'll release a few more Ghost Riders right after that one hits, like to time it so that you could just go to the store and buy a new Ghost Rider? So that there might be a motorcycle or two also available for 6-inch figures right around that time. That would be cool.
Just start doing the same vehicle, branding it differently, and give us a GI Joe one and a Marvel one, and we'll all be happy. Yeah, I could see them doing more Ghost Rider stuff to kind of tie it in with. They did the same with Katana, didn't they? They had vintage collection figures kind of appear like all of a sudden, so that you actually had figures to kind of play along with it, display along with it. Anyway, got a few more comments coming through here. Toy Kind of Mood. Hello, Travis, probably, I imagine, on at the moment. Kind of laughable they would call it big budget, though. This isn't Activision, unless it's like a fun arcade Shredder's Revenge type. Something in between would be great. Well, they are pumping a lot of money in it. They've already discussed this already, Travis, a couple of years ago, now maybe over a year ago now. They had a, I want to say it was a HASBRO investor event, and Chris Cox was on, and it wasn't even Chris Cox, actually. It was one of the other C-level kind of like, executives were talking about the games. And I believe she mentioned that they were the amount of money that they were pumping into it was actually kind of Activision levels. Like, you're talking about millions going into this, not just, like usually it would just be like a little bit to get that game, like Operation Blackout, for example. It wasn't a hugely expensive game to make. So in this sense, they are kind of pushing it, to higher levels, I believe. So, and again, that could change, Pat, couldn't it? I mean, could we be in a position here where they may change their minds halfway through and maybe say that's enough? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's hard to say. We never know what something will happen. I mean, we've seen companies spend a lot of money and then drop things. That'd be a shame, but it looks like they're setting up an entire platform for creation. So yeah, I mean, people have complained for years that there aren't good GI Joe video games. So maybe Hasbro is just finally realizing, you know what, we need to do this. We need to do this right this time.
Absolutely. Excuse me, a bit of windy pops there. Andrew Clark has asked, I didn't try Operation Blackout. What did people think of that game? Well, me personally, Andrew, I will say that I enjoyed it initially, but it's got a short kind of like not shelf life, a short kind of like game life, if you know what I mean. Like it's only actually a short game to complete. It took me months because I just, I would do a level and then I would quit. Because I like to kind of spread the game out a little bit. I've done that with every game I've ever played. I've kind of really, got the most out of it, basically. So I really enjoyed it, but it's not one I'm going to go back and play again because it is like, it gets a bit repetitive. It's as fun as it was, getting all the characters and playing as different characters and, using all their special, attacks and all that kind of stuff. It did get a little bit like, okay, well, I've done this already now. And, just with the different kind of skin over it. So I, as much as I kind of enjoyed it initially, it definitely kind of ran out a little bit of steam. And it's not one I'm necessarily going to go back to and play again. I mean, what was it like for you, Pat?
Well, I remember you telling me how to use the auto aim feature. And until that, it was horrendous.
Yeah.
So if you are going to play it, make sure that you figure that out because I don't think that that's in the tutorial. I think you tapped like the R trigger or something, or there's one of the buttons you have to tap in order for it to kind of target one of the enemies.
Yeah,
and it makes life much easier in the game. But
I remember
it
I
does
did.
kind of, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say I did a live kind of play of it on when it first came out, or the day it dropped, and so I did the live, thing. And people on there are like, "Why aren't you using the light? Why aren't you using the aim?" And I completely ignored the comments because I was like focused on playing it. And they were right. Like I wasn't using it, and it was like, it was really difficult kind of to play. Did like a couple of levels or whatever, and then that was the kind of that was it really. Funny little story, guys. I'm not sure if I've said this in public before. But I'm going to say it now because it's long since gone and been. I probably have mentioned this on the show in the past. But I went through all of the extras that you get. You got this whole like book of like artwork and all that kind of stuff. And lo and behold, they had accidentally put the movie Snake Eyes and the movie Storm Shadow designs in the Snake Eyes pages and the Storm Shadow pages. And so I'm like going through and looking at them. Nobody noticed. I didn't notice because obviously we didn't know what the designs looked like at that point. That was before the movie came out. So like I went back, I'm playing away, and someone messaged me and said, "Did you know that those are the movie designs?" And I'm like, "No." Like had to keep it quiet, obviously. Went back to the game, gone. They'd been removed. So obviously it was an error. They'd like it, someone had kind of pointed it out. And they had to take them back. I had to pull them back in. But I thought that was really funny. Like, so we got an early glimpse of what the designs were. Didn't even know about it. Amazing stuff. So yeah, that was funny. But no, in terms of Operation Blackout, Andrew, yeah, it's a fun game to play, but it's only kind of like a one and done thing. I would say. I wouldn't. It doesn't have much like appeal to go back because it's not very. It's very like rigid. You're going down a pathway, aren't you?
It's a game. It's a game that you would probably only enjoy as a GI Joe fan, not as a fan of games.
That's a very good point. Very, very good point. Okay, then. Sorry, I've missed loads of comments since then, so I'm not going to get back to them. But anyway, guys, that's this news. Good luck to Brandon Joa, by the way, in this job. Really excited to see how that game develops and all everything that kind of comes out of it. So good luck to Brandon, and cannot wait to see what that game looks like. Or even just like they threw out some concept art from years ago, but to be honest, it's probably going to look nothing like that. It's probably going to have none of those included in it. It looks like we're starting from scratch here. Okay, well, next up then. We have some PulseCon updates, and I thought Pat and I could probably talk about what we can probably expect from the show in a couple of weeks' time.
A number of PulseCon updates happened this week with the announcement that the GI Joe brand panel would be happening on the second day of the event, Saturday the 1st of October. The blurb for the panel read, "Whether you're Team Yo-Joe or Cobra, Hasbro PulseCon 2022 is bringing you the best from GI Joe. Make sure to tune in on day 2 of Hasbro PulseCon October 1st to catch the team bringing you the latest in the classified series line, including some new product announcements, pipeline reveals, and even a special guest you don't want to miss. Stay up to date on Hasbro PulseCon 2022 news at go.hasb.ro/Hasbro PulseCon 2022, because after all, knowing is half the battle, as they always have to add that. I have a funny feeling the special guest could be Ron Rudat, and I also expect the fan vote for the HIS Tactician to either happen prior to or during the live event on that Saturday. Either way, it's all very exciting, so let's get stuck into what we could likely see from the team during the show.
Yeah. Okay. So this one was effectively the reveal of the GI Joe brand panel information, and what is interesting in there is the fact that obviously it's very classified series focused. No mention of O-ring, and which is surprising because like I feel like every time Pat's like, I feel like when we get to the point of asking that question, it's like, well, wait for a little bit and we'll cover that later. And it feels like this was going to be the later point that we were going to get some information on it. Nothing in writing necessarily. Doesn't mean we're not going to get something O-ring, but it would be good to, know definitely. And we'll find out when the actual event happens. But we're going to get new product announcements, pipeline reveals, and even a special guest you don't want to miss. Now, first off, Pat, let's talk about special guest. Who are you thinking on that one?
Well, considering past guests that are entirely unrelated to GI Joe, but then you find out that they're fans, it's really hard to say. Other than to make a guess, which I think the one that you just presented is probably the best one available. That to have Ron Rudat come on and talk about the initial designs of the HISS tank or the HISS driver, I think that would be a very appropriate thing to do. So
I agree. I just thought, that would be like, yeah, it's appropriate, isn't it? It makes a lot of sense they would kind of do that. This is a good shout by Action J as well. Maybe special guest is Sergeant Slaughter announcing O-ring figure. That would be fun, and Pat would probably cry a little bit all over the place. No,
yeah,
I think
that would make me really happy.
Oh, anonymous dude has asked this question from previous. I just want to quickly answer this one for him. Have you cheese bags played Transformers Devastation? Beautiful G1 graphics on the PS4. A G.I. Joe game in the same style would be fun. I have played Devastation. I actually have it on my Xbox. And yeah, absolutely bloody loved it. Really enjoyed it. I got stuck on a mission though. I think it's when I'm fighting Megatron as Sideswipe. And I can't get past it. And I haven't played it since, but I've always mean to go back and actually play that mission and get it done, but I haven't completed it yet.
Yeah, I completed the whole game. I thought that it was amazing. I remember I bought a copy of it for my brother, and I don't remember buying it for him the first time, but apparently I was so excited about that game that I'd forgotten that I bought it for him, and I bought him a second copy.
He plays them on two separate monitors.
He didn't play either copy. It's so sad. It's an amazing game. Like it really tapped into the original Sunbow show so well.
Oh,
with the voice actors, hearing the voice actors say the original mottos from the files with tech specs, I should say, with Transformers rather than file cards.
Yeah,
I don't know. That game was amazing. That's a really good one.
Did you have to put a bit of red plastic up against the screen to read? No, I absolutely agree. And I love that. I really love playing that game. And the only reason I didn't go back to it was because, life gets in the way. But I will be probably get back to it today, actually. I'll probably try and complete it later. Chrissy's asked this question, slightly separate. Oh, it's me, look. It's Chrissy T. McLeod. So... I love these parody accounts. They're amazing. Chris, you're asking yourself effectively. You've chatted informally with Lenny and Emily, right? Have you ever broached the subject of Palitoy era Action Force characters entering the classified line? Well, one, I have chatted informally with Lenny and Emily. Have I broached this? I can't remember if I have. I think we've talked about it, and it's in the similar way. Like it's not like what's the word? It's not like a secret. But there's obviously the fact that they were saying things like, anything that we can do is on the table, basically. So it's a possibility. We've already seen Tiger Force Outback. I know it's technically not Palitoy era Action Force, but it's in a similar vein where it's not, it's not a. Well, I would probably argue that the Tiger Force Outback is more well known globally now, more than most of the characters from the Palitoy Action Force era. But it's still in that same kind of wheelhouse. So they haven't said yes or no. They haven't been definitive about it. I think people are going to think I've created this parody account to ask this question, to answer it, to create content. I've just realized that's what people probably think here. This ain't the case. I do not have that amount of time or intelligence to do anything like that. Someone else is doing this, and it's brilliant, by the way. But anyway, hopefully that answers your question. Yes, we've spoken formally about this stuff, but again, in the same way that they've answered the similar questions in the past, nothing is really off the table. So it's a possibility, but not. What, we've got Big Ben come in. We know that's a character that's coming again, not Palitoy era Action Force, but certainly a UK related character, even though it was a US release in 90. But yeah, again.
91, I think, on Big Ben. I think,
oh, sorry.
I think the overall thing here is that you need to make sure to do that. I think that the fact that the club released some of those characters, helps to open the door for them to be done again.
I agree. I mean,
trademarks would have been, those names would have been, you know, at Hasbro. They definitely could put in a red laser or even a skip. I mean, the club did skip, right?
Yep, skip Gaucho. In terms of the 5-point of articulation, yeah, it was skip, wasn't it? Did they do another 5-point?
They did. Yeah, I can't think that they did. I would have liked an eagle. That would have been really cool.
It was mainly repaints of the 25th versions of the GI Joe characters that were used for the Palatoy era, wasn't it? Like Squirrel and Gaucho and Jammer and
Red Laser
and
Blade?
Some others. Who'd you say?
Blades.
Oh, I always forget Blades. Yeah. So that's I agree though I agree with you, Pat. I think if they've done it in the club, that is always one of those ones where the Hasbro will look at it and go, oh, okay, no, this is this was a popular figure, or this was, this did all right, and yeah, maybe that's a good character to kind of go with. I agree on that one. Yeah, totally. I can't believe that parody account's amazing. Robert H says, I just wish that you could still get the alt costumes for Devastation. Can you not do that anymore? I didn't realize.
I thought that they released a second copy of Devastation on disc that just included them. I thought that's a shame if you can't, because I really enjoyed seeing Nemesis Prime in an almost Sunbow setting. It was fun.
Yeah. Okay, coming back to PulseCon. Let's focus.
Focus.
So, in terms of special guests, it could be anybody really. I'm guessing. I think we're pretty strong that it might be Ron Rudat, and that we'll get the fan vote happen as well. At some point as well, because I think that's got to happen, hasn't it? Like, it's got to happen soon, because they're running out of time. Anyway. Clark says, new low, Chris, for my attempt at trying to answer my own question as a different human being on YouTube. I appreciate that, Clark. Sorry, there's some funny comments coming in. Mark Bradley says, Baron Ironblood in the shadows in 6-inch, pretty please, Hasbro. Yeah, Baron Ironblood in the red shadows.
Oh, yeah. Dope. For sure, Baron Ironblood, yes, please.
And they've approached that with IDW. That we've had the whole Revolution kind of thing, so it's not like it's new, really. Like, people are aware of these characters, and I think would love them in that 6-inch scale. Anyway, what could we expect? Well, first off, I want to shout out Adventures in Collecting, who had Emily on their panel at ZapCon like a week and a bit ago. Maybe it was last week. I think it was last weekend. But they did a great little panel, and Emily basically gave them some information, as well as having all like brand new figures kind of on show as well, about this particular wave coming in April of 2023. So that would be Standard Outback, CoverGirl, Crimson Bat, Falcon, and Slaughter's Marauders Barbecue. So we know that these 5 figures are going to be coming in April. So it's pretty safe bet that we'll be seeing these in physical form at PulseCon, with possibly pre-orders. What would you say to that, Pat?
I think that's an extremely safe bet. Yes, for sure. And at this point, I'm more inclined to want to just find things as they come out, but there's no way I'm not going to pre-order CoverGirl. There's no way.
She looks great, doesn't she? Absolutely brilliant. I love the head sculpt as well. You can't really see it like up close at the moment, but yeah, it's an absolute beauty. Again, there's 3 repaints, 2 new figures in here, but I really like the fact that we're getting Outback in his regular gear, although it's going to be annoying for some people who haven't actually received their Tiger Force Outback yet, which I know is still a lot of people, including yourself, right, Pat? Yeah, that sucks. It's a shame as well, because everyone I speak to is like, this figure is the best. So just to rub it in a little bit, it is a dope figure. But the fact we're getting, like the Crimson Bat's kind of fun. But again, like, we've had like 30 bats already. I don't know, I'm sure people are going to have that feeling towards it. But I love the fact we're getting Slaughter's Marauders decos on some figures, which insinuates we might get Spirit. We might get Footloose, Mutton Junkyard, and who am I missing? Hardball.
I
I
would
know
have
that was
to-
in the club, but
I was in the
like,
clubs. Spirit Mutton Junkyard. You said Footloose, right?
yeah,
Sergeant Slaughter. It kind of implies maybe
ob-
Sergeant Slaughter.
obviously, yeah. Who am I missing? Maybe the guy who runs the team. Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
everyone, isn't it? Then I think.
I can't remember.
Low
who did
light.
say.
How I always
Low
forget
light,
low
yes.
light. Thank you to Ed, Bobby, and Ray. Ray Murphy. Hey Ray. And Ed again. Ed saying it twice just to kind of like, you know, really push it in there. Thanks, guys. Yeah. Bobby has also said, didn't they mention in the past they would be shipping whole cases of figures moving forward opposed to assortment cases? I believe that was mentioned in a previous event. It's hard to keep track of all the information that comes out, honestly, Bobby. But I would say that that is the case. I vaguely remember that, actually. So, yeah, I'm going to have to say, yeah, on that one. I think that is actually happening. So, yeah, you'll get to pick and choose, I guess. Or, like, you know, people are buying these will be picking and choosing, I guess, as in the companies. What else we got going on? Yeah, Mutton Junkyard, definitely that'd be amazing. Anonymous Dude says, I need wetsuit and leatherneck, always arguing. That's actually a good point because we're going to get pipeline reveals, Pat. Now, obviously, this is what I'm thinking. This group of figures are going to be physical product in hand, maybe dio shots, maybe pre-orders, right? That's my guess. Next up, we have these, which were at sculpt phase level during SDCC. Now, you're kind of, I'm expecting to see digital renders of these. What do you think? So we've got Rock and Roll, Torpedo, Copperhead, and Shipwreck. Thoughts?
Yeah, either digital renders or you never know how far along things are. I think that they're just going to show us as far as they've gotten on some of this stuff. So if they have some engineering pilots, we probably will see those.
That'd be fun, actually. Just you thinking of, like, you know, their patterns. It always seems to be like we'll have some digital renders, we'll have some physical product that will be pre-ordered, and we'll have some name only kind of scenarios. I wonder if, you know, in this kind of phase now that we're seeing kind of like these kind of sculpt inputs, I wonder if we're going to get sculpt inputs of low light Televiper in the Trouble Bubble. That was my thought process on this one. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. You keep a good track of all this stuff better than I do as far as the pipeline reveals and everything else goes. I think that you're spot on for sure.
The other thing as well to add to low light and Televiper is there's another load of names they've mentioned: Grunt, Tunnel Rat, Ripper. There's more that evade me off the top of my head, but they've mentioned a lot of names that we haven't seen anything of yet, which could also be in the sculpt phase with you know, with these figures. The same with, you know, low light Televiper and the Trouble Bubble. See, that my thoughts, they're kind of like they're going to start filling out some of those names. Basically, we're going to start seeing that kind of information coming through. Snow Job, thank you, David, is another one. Are you expecting sorry, I saw another comment there. Are you expecting to hit, like, are there any names that you're kind of thinking, I'm really surprised we haven't heard these yet?
Not really. I mean, anything prior to 1986, anything up to and including 1986 seems like it's the short list for GI Joe.
You see, I'm surprised. I'll throw a couple out there. I think, like, I'm not necessarily, I know Leatherneck's been mentioned a lot actually in the comments. He is definitely one that's kind of up there. But I would say just like, you know, General Hawk is one we haven't heard the name, we haven't seen anything. Lifeline is another one. Someone just mentioned Doc in the comments. John Tate has mentioned Doc. So yeah, like there's a few that I kind of think, like, I'm surprised we haven't seen them ahead of other names. But then again, I suppose they're also thinking, Hasbro, we've got to keep some kind of sort of heavy hitters, you know, like, and spread it out a little bit. You can't all just be like, you know, just randoms from Europe, from the European exclusives every single time. Alpine people are talking about. Wild Weasel's another one. I mean, there's a ton, isn't there? I mean, like there's so many characters in GI Joe. It's just nuts. It's almost like we'll just throw a dart at a board and that'll be the name they suggest. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, right. I mean, it seems like they're going after the 1982 cast of characters relatively quickly, but
That's
evenly
true.
spaced. So all of those I expect to see in a short period of time. But beyond that, I do think that it's a matter of not spending all of the I guess we should call them heavy hitters that aren't a part of the core character hump.
Yeah, yeah. B-list.
Yeah, the B-list ones that really make people happy. But yeah, there's a lot of things they can do. Like I said, anything prior to 1986, and then you have your choice characters post 1986, like your Battle Armor Cobra Commander and some things like that people will definitely want to see.
I will have to say this one because obviously Justin will be very upset with me. But Hit and Run, I'm surprised. You know, we had so many modern era versions of that figure from the club and from Hasbro themselves.
It took a while though.
It did. You're right. We got to like, was it the Attack on Cobra Island box set?
Yeah, it pretty much was that, you know, and all those represented figures that had been canceled. So, you know, he'd been canceled and then put in a multi-pack and just kind of released with a bunch of other characters that almost didn't get out right kind of around the time of the movie, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that one just kind of got put out there and we had that one for a little while. And then the club updated it based on that the concept case Hit and Run that we had seen. So
yeah, and then we got Tiger Force, Wolf Squad. Was there another one in there too? Night Force. So
Night Force as well, yeah.
Yeah. Was it so 5 in the end in the modern era? I think that's everything.
That's right, yeah.
Which again, So again, in that modern era, it's kind of like we got quite a few, and it was cool. I expect him to kind of appear at some point, you know, because it's fresh in the memory still, isn't it? Like I imagine, especially for a lot of like for Lenny, for any of the other people working on the brand, they're gonna have stuff that's fresh in the memory as well, like things that like characters and you know all that kind of stuff that maybe was in like 50th to Rise of Cobra. Do you know what I mean? Like, or even 25th. Yeah. You know, it's going to be fresh in their minds.
Yeah, and I would call Hit and Run one of the heavy hitters. Anytime he comes out, there's always some big excitement for him, and he's kind of an opportunity to do a figure with more equipment, I would think.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's a heavy hitter and a heavy runner. Took you a while to get there, didn't it? Took you a while to get there, or were you probably just like, is he joking? I can't tell. They're so bad. Well, that's my that was my kind of thought process anyway in what we could see for PulseCon. And then in terms of like pipeline reveals, it's anybody's guess because they are just pulling names out of a hat at this stage and just being like, there you go, have some of these. I think I'm more excited to hear about what they've got in the pipeline, honestly.
Well, yeah, because that's where all the new information is. So
that's where all the secret info is that I want to know. Anyway, yeah, Dawn Moreno's a good shout as well. A lot of people mentioning that David Allen just mentioned Dawn Moreno. Scalpel would be cool. That's difficult. That's a really wild idea, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did Scalpel. Would not be surprised at all.
There's definitely some characters from the Joe versus Cobra through Valor versus Venom that deserve being done, and I think Scalpel's one of
them. Robert H. Was Wolf Force the grey one?
Wolf
Squad. I always imagine him trying to blend into a road and gets run over. He was Wolf Squad. Yeah.
Along with Sightline and Ace, and I can't remember who else was in the Wolf Squad.
I want to say that because they originally wanted. No, Shooter was in the Special Forces pack with all black Outback and all black Falcon.
Okay.
I don't think they were Wolf Squad. They were supposed to be Night Force, I think.
Okay.
And you ended up with basically just all black on both figures, didn't you? On Outback and Falcon, it was like, okay. A bit weird. But I want to say that Bazooka and Dusty, who ended up in that blue deco, was supposed to be Tiger Force, but they didn't do Tiger Force because the club were doing Tiger Force at the time. So they decided to do them in blue. And I'm still a bit confused as to why they didn't continue that Wolf Squad theme, because that might have made more sense, you know, rather than create this new thing with no real backstory as to why they were blue. But I don't know. It was confusing. It was a confusing time.
It was, yeah.
It was a different time. Diana David says, "Why not a new Listen and Fun hit and run?" Was there a Listen and Fun hit and run?
No, I think it's just fun to say.
You're right.
Hit and fun, hit and run.
Hit and fun, Diana. Amazing. Quick Kick feels due, says Andrew Clark. Yeah, I think Quick Kick would be one I would like to hear them kind of say they're going to be doing. And I imagine they'd probably go a bit closer to his, was it Rise of Cobra? I think it was Rise of Cobra version, where he's wearing the kind of like the clothing, you know, like the top and the shoes and everything. I think they could. I could see them doing something more like that. We'll see, I guess. Okay then. Well, actually, here's John says Laser Viper, Saw Viper, Rock Viper are crazy figures I like, and same. And plus, all three of those could be in Python Patrol, so they're all good shouts there, John. Yeah, because they
that's true.
A lot of Python Patrol reuse there. Okay then, hit and listen. Okay, Sonic Fighter Viper is actually a really good shout, Jeremy, and I would be very surprised if we don't get a cool little, you know, Viper, Tunnel Rat, because obviously we know Tunnel Rat's coming. He was another name, wasn't he? That's on the list, and Falcon. He's another one from Sonic Fighters. And who else have we got out that could be in Sonic Fighters?
That's a good question, because the later Sonic Fighters were kind of new, right? There's no Law yet. Law would be a good figure to have, just to get that one out and to put it in Sonic Fighters.
Yeah, big time. Major Blood, I guess, but you'd have to be a different build, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
And that would be a cool figure, actually. I would really like that. Rock and Roll, thank you, Jeremy. And obviously Rock and Roll is, you know, we've seen images of him just a few moments ago. There he is. So yeah, I could. Well, although it would have to be the version 2 version, wouldn't it, repainted? So, but they could throw some secondaries on it. It'd be fine. Okay then. Well, that is PulseCon and what we can expect to see in a couple of weeks' time. Yeah, it is 2 weeks' time, isn't it? Wow, man, this comes around fast. Very excited for this. John says, "Ice Cream Soldier." Anybody? Yes, I think we all want Ice Cream Soldier. Does Pat want Ice Cream Soldier?
For sure. Yeah. Always.
And Lenny does want Road Pig, Jeremy. Yes, you're right. Absolutely. And the reason for Road Pig to be made, says Ed. Absolutely. Okay, then. Let's move on then to shout outs next. But before that, we'll get stuck into a bit of Hoarder.
Hey there guys, just wanted to let you know about an app that I've been helping to develop for a few years now called Hoarder. But what is Hoarder, I hear you scream? Well, a number of years ago I discussed a project with a good friend of mine and now co-owner/developer about an app that could help collectors of all shapes and sizes. I'm talking about the shapes and sizes of the collections really, but also people. The app would be a place where you could share your new items, build collections and sub-collections, or just browse the feed to see cool things. Well, we made it. We tested it for a number of years, and now it's out there for you to enjoy on iOS or Android devices. You can upload a single item at a time at your own pace and slowly build your collections. You can post status updates that could be related to your collections, like getting a delivery or posting a scene in which you can tag items in that image if you've uploaded them in the past. You can add tags to your items in order to easily search for and find them, and of course to add them into your respective collections. You can like posts, comment on them, or start a conversation with a fellow collector, directly message users you follow, and even add items you see on your feed to your want list. If you prefer to use your computer or laptop, have no fear, you can use the website browser version and even utilise the awesome inventory option, allowing any user to change certain details, add notes, upload bulk items from spreadsheet files, and download a CSV of your entire itemised collection. We made this app for collectors and we hope that you enjoy using it as much as we enjoyed creating it. Now get to hoarding.
This comment made me laugh from Sean. I got it already. Stop telling me about it. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate you getting a hoarder and getting involved on it. Anyway, get to hoarding, guys. Right, shout outs next. And Pat, you're going first, buddy. Who have you got?
As always, Philip. Yeah, we're currently formulating our episode for this month, so that should be coming soon.
That will be amazing. I can't wait for that. Any hints as to what you guys are looking at the moment?
Well, it's on the shelf behind me, but it's down low. So.
So we can't see. This is actually it's me again. So I'm gonna answer this question. Any return of Disorder of Battle on the horizon? Missing it. Now that's not me saying that and asking the question so that I answer it. I just want people to be very clear of this. I have no idea who does these parody accounts. They are hilarious though. Any return of Disorder of Battle on the horizon? Missing it. It's really, unfortunately, an availability thing with Brian. It's difficult for us to kind of like sync up, especially considering all the work he's got on at the moment with all the books that are going on. That's enough of looking at my altered face on the screen though. But yeah, thank you, whoever you are doing that. It's not me. It's like Pat's Naked HD and I'm myself trolling myself. It's amazing.
If it was you, you would have been like, you know, queuing yourself in at certain points. It would have been like, if only there was an app that I could use to show my toys earlier in the chat.
I know. I would be doing way more interesting. Or I'd be doing things like, Chris, you're the best human being on planet Earth. Things like that. I'd be like really bigging myself up. But no, it's
yeah. I enjoy the parody account. It's
but
fun.
We enjoy them, and as long as they're not like really nasty, we enjoy highlighting how funny they are. Anyway, I'm going to shout out my family, of course, as always, UK and US. Shout out to Dad. He's not having the best time at the moment. He's having to go into hospital soon to have a little procedure. All should be cool. I won't go into the details, but love you, Dad and Mom, of course, and hope you get sorted. Hope you get sorted in, you know, and everything's cool. The reason I laughed is because I saw another post, by the way, another comment from myself, which isn't myself. And I'll put it on the screen. He's lying. It is me. Amazing. As if I could do that while I'm doing this. As if I have the wherewithal to do this stuff. Anyway, big shout out to my fam and to the US fam as well. All Chiefs fans, so they're enjoying the football season starting. To my wonderful wife and my lovely little Phoebes, who is with my wonderful wife at the moment. Love you guys massively. Next up, Brian Sauer for our wonderful graphics. Massive shout out to Brian for that. And of course, related to Brian, I've got a lot of AR updates. So Midwest Vintage Toys will be showing up. And also, I've spoken to Brian and he said that they've actually expanded the amount of vendors they're going to have this year. So it's going to be pretty tasty for anyone that wants to go there and buy some cool stuff. So there's going to be lots of vendors. Midwest Vintage Toys are one. They're going to be like shouting out different vendors every Monday on their Facebook page, on their socials. So you'll get to see exactly who's going to be showing up. But a big shout out to them. Next up, guests. So Ron Wagner, the renowned comic artist, of course, legend on A Real American Hero, and many other Marvel DC series as well. He's going to be on site. He's going to be doing what he does best. You can actually get original commissions from him. He does amazing stuff. We've had some stuff off him in the past. I got him to do, I got him to do one for Kate as well, an Outback one. And he's also, I've had him, I've bought many prints off him in the past as well. He's done some beautiful ones, including that hit and run one year, which is just gorgeous. Anyway, big shout out to Ron. He's an absolute genius and a lovely guy as well. Super funny, lovely to talk to, and does some amazing artwork, obviously. And you should all know him anyway, being GI Joe fans. Also, they've been highlighting the Cell Pop card backs. Now, Assembly Required 2022 for the 40 years, the kind of 40th event, they're doing gear kits again. you can actually go on codenameiowa.com/store and you can order those gear kits. And in that gear kit, you'll find bonus card backs available only for that particular, you know, kind of exclusive to the 40th. And it looks like Steeler might be one of those on there from that era. Looks awesome. I love Brian's artwork, by the way. He does amazing artwork. He did the artwork for that recent Word Burglar announcement of the track that I produced for Word Burglar, which is I Get to Drive It. So, and he did that kind of animation as well. So just wonderful, wonderful stuff that he does. Really love it. And also, cartoons and cereal will be back. So what they basically do, the tradition at Assembly Required, each year before the show opens, they start the morning off with cartoons and cereal. We get a huge block of GI Joe cartoons. I throw the occasional Action Force one in there as well, just to really throw people off. And it has like commercial breaks and all sorts from that period. So it's very awesome. And I did take a lot of care to find commercials from the year that particular episode was out as well. So yeah, and we're talking like loads and loads of episodes back to back. And you can sit down in the main hall on this big screen and you can just eat cereal, which they provide. They provide multiple different cereal, multiple different milks of all sorts. And you can just sit back with other people eating cereal and watching cartoons. It's a great way to start the show. Trust me, it's amazing. Everyone gets their breakfast and, you know, you get to watch cartoons. What can be? I mean, you must enjoy that, Pat.
Oh yeah, for sure. Usually I am busy doing something, so I think the first year I didn't actually see much of it, but then I always enjoy the whenever it pops up, the picture of you for like, what is it, the broadcast thing that's starting. It's like that standard image if there's nothing like actually.
Yeah, like when you get the fuzzy crackle and then it's like beep and it's like that. Yeah, that kind of broadcast transmission, like, you know, technical difficulties or the break in play. And it was just, I just put my face on the girl, I think, didn't I? Because there's an old British screen kind of thing that we used to get on our TV back in the day, and it would be this very young girl drawing on like a chalkboard with a clown sitting next to her. It's freaky as hell, and I just put my face on her, I think, for that, and it was funny. So, you know, there you go. Lols. I like to put lols in there as much as possible. Anyway, he says, if Patrick can multitask as HD, so can you, Chris. Okay, fine. Notice no naked HD in the chat today, though. HD. There you go. See, he can't multitask. Anyway, yeah, brilliant stuff. Oh, actually, let's go back to Steeler because Diana's got a funny comment. I keep thinking Steeler is about to shoot a red knot out of his glasses there. Yeah, like Cyclops. Yeah, definitely can see that happening as well. Anyway, yes, it was the BBC test card. Thank you, Tom. The BBC test card. There you go. 2 comments explaining all the information you need. Thank you, Tom. Yeah, it was that BBC one that always made me laugh, so I put my face on it. Terrible, terrible stuff. Right then, I think that's everything. No, one more shout out, and that is to, this will make 0 sense for a lot of people at the moment, but my shout out is to the Dragon Fortress and Brew Sleep on Twitter. They basically compiled this brilliant article where Brew Sleep interviewed, I forget his name, it's Igor Zarovich, I believe. Let me just double check on that name. I think it's, Igor Zarovich, who was the man behind Two Beatles, the company that distributed GI Joe Fun School figures in Russia. Now, it's a really interesting article about the history of that Russian Fun School era. And I just wanted to shout them out because it's such a good article. The link is in the description on this video. We posted it on our socials as well. Check it out; it's really cool. And anyway, follow Dragon Fortress anyway because they're just brilliant. And Dustin, who runs that, is just awesome. So yeah, check that out on Twitter, and link in the description for that particular history. Pat, did you get a chance to read that?
I did read most of it. I did not finish. I was taken away by another thing, but I will go back to it. It was definitely interesting.
Really interesting. It's a shame they never got the cartoon out there, and because that was something they wanted to do, but he couldn't afford it. But anyway, check out that article. It's all the history for the Russian Fun School figures, and it's so cool. Anyway, next up then is nothing. Big shout out to all the listeners, the viewers, our patrons, everybody, of course. For supporting the show. All of you guys in the comments are just keeping it awesome for us and very fun, including myself, by the way. And wow, we just received, I believe, our first ever paid comment, super chat. Thank you to Peppermint Oil Capsule. And obviously, I will always post these ones if you're gonna pay us money. That's ridiculous. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Sergeant Slaughter Slaughterhouse special in 9 hours, guys. Go check that out. Thank you, Peppermint Oil Capsule. I appreciate that. I would have posted that anyway. I appreciate you paying for it, but I would have posted that anyway. Trust me. Anyway, thank you so much. Again, thank you, Peppermint Oil Capsule, for being our first ever super chat. That's amazing. Really exciting stuff. And that has just paid Pat's. That's paid Pat's wage there, hasn't it, Pat?
Sure. I think I'm almost scared at the commitment of, if you pay for it, we will definitely post it.
Oh yeah. Well, within a degree. If you post something,
listening.
If you post something and it's hideous and like offensive, then no. But I'll just say thank you very much and shout you out.
And we have another one.
Yeah, we do. Oh my God, what the hell is going on here? Matt O'Brien, what on earth have you just done, Matt? You absolute lunatic. What the hell? I did not know these were up. Love you guys. Wow, Matthew O'Brien. That is incredible. What can I say other than thank you so much, you absolute lunatic. Guys, thank you so much. Don't do what Matt does. That's just ridiculous. Oh, this is too much now. They're all flying in. I didn't even mention it. I just all I did was click one button on the YouTube channel to allow for it to happen. I didn't even mention it because I just felt too like, oh yeah, give us money. Oh, this is ridiculous. Ryan, come on. Thanks, Chris and Pat, and let's all watch Slaughterhouse to Joe Fest. Absolutely. Thank you, Ryan. Unbelievable stuff, guys. Are we going to call it, and we're going to end the show now, so no more of this, please. Otherwise, I won't be able to put it on the screen. Guys, thank you so much for all you do. It's an absolute pleasure. And thank you so much to our new Super Chat friends. That is insane. Guys, do not feel pressure, please, to do this. It is there if you want to do it. No pressure, okay? If you want me to, I will literally put your comments up if I can, and if it's not, like I said, if it's not offensive, oh, for goodness sake. We're finishing now. Matt, thank you very much. I appreciate it, but stop giving us money, you idiot. This is ridiculous. No, I'm not. I'm kidding. Mate, that's amazing. Thank you so much. So that's it.
So much.
We're moving on now. Pat, can we, thanks, buddy, for jumping on. Really appreciate it.
It's always fun. Thank you.
Thank you to everybody. I won't be able to put any more on. We are literally calling it now. After 3, buddy. 1, 2, 3.
Full force.
But I do have to check the comments because just in case. Thank you, guys. Much appreciated. See you later.
Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/TheFullForce, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/TheFullForce podcast, or click on the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.